What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sales Remastered. My name is Daniel. I'm your host. And in this episode, I'm going to give you 4 very popular topics that I get questions on through either direct message or notes under my video logs. And so I'm just going to crunch down in one video these 4 topics and give my 2 cents on each one of the topics. The very first one that I get most often is mindset. Like, hey Daniel, how do I get into the correct mindset in order to do things throughout the day, like the real grind, like outbound dialing or calling out. And ultimately what I like to refer to that is motivation. Like, how do I stay motivated? How do I muster up the motivation to give Mr. Patel a call to pitch him that 4.5 that he's qualified for, even though he really wants a 2.125 30-year fix with no cost? How do I get that motivation? At the end of the day, when I'm just ready to throw my phone out the window, slam my headset and punch my screen, how do I muster up that motivation, Daniel? And here's my 2 cents on that. So when it comes to mindset and motivation, this is something that we all deal with. Some people are a little bit stronger in dealing with their mindset and motivation. They come in chip of the morning and always smiling and always encouraging, and that almost affects us. Like we kind of get, man, fuck your happiness, because sometimes we're just not on that level. And what I would say is that, through experience and through studying my mentors, what I did find that most of the successful people that I was fortunate enough to study on my climb had a very, very common routine about them. And this common routine that they shared was a morning ritual. So you may have heard me preach in my other videos about creating a morning ritual. I probably even made a post about it that you saw on Instagram with a motivational meme. And a morning ritual is very powerful. Why I think it's very strong and why I think it's necessary to have is because a morning ritual actually starts about 2 to 3 hours before you normally wake up. And so if you think about it, as of right now, when you consider what time you wake up to the time you actually arrive into the office, clock in for work, and get ready with your day, some people do that within an hour. Meaning they get up, they take a shower, and then they fly into work and then clock in. Whereas those who have a morning ritual are usually up about 3 hours earlier than that normal person would normally wake up. So if you, let's say, for example, if you're normally waking up at 7 and then you get to work at 8 o'clock, that's about an hour time for you to rush, eat breakfast, get ready, do whatever you need to do before you sit down and get your ass in gear. Well, those who had a morning ritual were up, instead of 7, they were up at 4 a.m. in the morning. And the challenge or the real discipline is because you just want to sleep a little more. It's instinctive to hit that snooze button on your alarm clock. But this is what I found out, is that those with the morning ritual had this huge boost, this huge kind of head start in their day. And so when they've had that extra 3 hours to get themselves not only physically but mentally primed for the day, they come in well aware, like their pistons are firing, they're geared, because they've been coherent, they've been conscious for multiple hours, whereas you just literally woke up, you still got boogers in your eyes. And so when you compare the mentality and really think about, well, what do you do with that extra 3 hours? And what I find is that physical exercise, reading a book or some sort of self-education of something that you really enjoy, whether you like fucking sky fishing or you like boogie boarding or whatever, just go do that. Just find something to do to treat yourself within the morning hours. And I personally like to go to the gym and I like to do self-education. So I'll study a topic that I'm really into, and it'll give me this kind of sense of courage going into the day. And what I found why is because it really takes your mind off of the grind for that day. Some people use those few hours to really plan out their day. Some will just wake up slow, read a book. They won't go to the gym, but maybe they'll do some meditation. Whatever floats your boat, just try it out. And when you get into the office and you have this huge head start, see how your energy feels. Like your attitude is much better because you're beyond warmed up. You're primed. You're ready to go. And the only sacrifice you'll have to make is just not having to sleep in for an extra couple hours. But in exchange for trading that extra couple hours of sleep, you may be able to boost your momentum, your courage, and also your income in the process. So think about that. Now, another common question that I get is with regards to lead management. I work in real estate, so I deal with a ton of leads every single day, usually about 6 to 8 leads per day. And lead management is more or less understanding kind of the mindset of each lead. So I have a video about that, about understanding your lead types. I would strongly recommend you check it out. I believe that's the name of the title, is Understand Your Lead Types. And you have to understand that there's a difference between someone you outbound call, maybe you pitched them about a month ago, and you're giving them a follow-up call. Actually, that lead is the easiest type of lead to flip or to sell, whereas the new inbound lead from like an internet lead, or let's say someone calling from like a mail ad that they received a month ago or yesterday, and they're calling in because they want some information on it. If you understand that the two differences, the internet lead, for example, is shopping. So that person's going to get contacted by about 9 different lenders once they hang up on the phone from you. So you can't necessarily treat that same lead as if they were an outbound lead, right? Like you're calling them out of the blue. Or you can treat that type of prospect the same as someone who's just replying back from a mail piece, because it could be an individual contact. They're not necessarily going to be in the market to be shopping, they're just calling you. And so there's some sort of type of exclusivity there. But when you understand that these mindsets, you understand how to work them, then you understand how to approach them. So maybe someone in an internet lead, I may not be giving all the full details until I know where I stand. It's like poker with an internet lead. Whereas someone who's calling respond from a mail lead, I'm a little bit more, up front, and I'm pointing them in the right direction of how to take advantage of that special that we mailed to them, because I understand that their environment's a little bit different versus, let's say, an internet lead. Now, an outbound lead, why those are effective is because, again, they're not shopping. They may be, or could have been in the past, but by that time that you give them a call back, about 2 weeks later after you pitched them, is usually when the sale happens. And it's because they've gone through that cycle of comparing. They've already gotten, received multiple calls from other competitors of yours. And so they've either made the decision or are going to make the decision, or possibly even put it off. And you giving a call back sets you apart from your competitors, because they're just not giving them a call back. It's one pitch, and if you don't take it, then sayonara, on to the next lead. And that's that churn and burn mentality that's just not going to work in 2018. The next topic is time management. Now, time management is important because you have to at least dedicate 40% of your day to new sale origination. I think sales origination, more or less, it's vital. It's important to keep discipline or a certain amount of time assigned every day strictly for new sales origination, because the second that you stop or you just slow down on sales origination, your momentum slows down, your pipeline actually suffers from it. And so you have to really dedicate at least 3 to 4 hours per day of just new sales generation, new sales gen. And that's what I mean is that the lead management's really going to help you out and figure out where you should focus your time. Where I see the biggest mistake is that I'm on the West Coast, and a lot of my competitors, are either mid or also on East Coast. But I reside in Orange County, California. Orange County is like the mecca of real estate companies. There's just a lot of mortgage lenders within this area. But what I do notice is that most of my competitors split and go home at like 5:30. What I understand, though, is that now all my clients on the East Coast are home, and my clients on the West Coast are just getting home. And so how I position myself is I stay until about 7:30, right? In some cases, even 8 o'clock, depending on how bad I need the business. And so if I missed my 2 or 3 hour window throughout the day for new sales generation, then I'm going to make sure I put a couple extra hours in at the end of the day. This is the best time to shop because all your competitors are gone. These people are just getting home. More than likely, you have both decision makers at the table, at the house, in the same exact time, and they're not under the stress of a 15-minute lunch break, or they're not giving you a call as they're taking their kids from daycare to school or from school to home. You don't have a backseat filled with kids trying to grab the attention of the person that you're trying to sell your mortgage term to. So consider that, because time management is one of the most important things that you have throughout the day. Here's a bonus for you, is that not every single lead you talk to deserves a space on your calendar. If you're not using a calendar system right now, you're really losing out. You gotta get familiar with some sort of calendar, whether it's iCalendar or my favorite, which is the Microsoft Outlook calendar. It's only the leads that actually deserve your time should deserve a spot on your calendar. If you put a calendar spot on any single lead you talk to, your number one is your CRM does that, but number two is that you're just filling up your calendar. And so you're ultimately going to be drowning in appointments. And so there's only a few of the leads that actually deserve the time. And what I mean by that is that it's a give and take situation, right? So that's what sales is. It's give take. I give you info, and then I'm going to take some sort of interest from you so you can follow me. Like, for example, I'm going to take your stipulations, so go get me these steps, right? I've given you this information, now go give me the steps. I'm going to take it to my processing department and underwriting department. We're going to fulfill this request of a refinance for you. Now, besides time management, goal setting. In my sales floor, we have a monthly quota, and let's just say that quota was 8, and meaning that our loan officers have to generate at least 8 loans funded by the end of the month. You would be amazed how many loan officers, if you find yourself doing this, at least you get a heads up that you could change it, but how many people would just aim for that 8? And so visually what they do is they think, okay, well, I got 4 weeks to get 8, so I just need to do 2 a week. And so this gives them the okay per day if they didn't make a sale. Now, what you have to do is reverse engineer your goal. And so you have to kind of break down the numbers and understand kind of like your overall conversion ratios. Conversion ratios meaning how many of the pitch leads did you turn into a sale? And then how many of those, let's say, lock loans did you actually elevate? How many of those loans that you elevated went to funding? And so you have to understand your sequence in those particular categories. You have to understand your ratios. And so if you know that you need to speak with at least 10 people, for example, in order to get 1 lock, then your goal should be at least 10 people for that day if you're looking for 1 lock. Now, in some cases, it may not happen all that, to that degree. Like, for example, you speak to only 3 people and then get 1 lock, and you think, okay, well, I got my 1 lock for the day and just coast for the rest of the day. But the trick is to say, well, if I got 1 that early, what about 2? Or can I do 3? Really challenge yourself and step up to see if you can get a little bit higher than that. And all you do is basically just give yourself the momentum and the confidence going into the next day, knowing that you had a powerful day the day before. And that's what you want. You just want to ride on the coattails of that momentum, ride on the coattails of that confidence. But where I see most sales representatives will aim just for the lowest minimum quota, it baffles me. It's because instinctively we know our safety net. And so we know that, okay, well, at least if I get 8, then I'm cool with that. And if you think that way, then your whole mindset game is wrong. And so going back to the example, if I needed, let's say, 10 locks in order to fund, let's say, 8 loans. So every 10 locks that I have, 8 of them are going to fund, and I knew that was my ratio. And so looking at the quota, I would say, okay, well, cool, all I need is 10 locks, right? But here's the thing, what if I doubled that? What if I aimed for 20 locks? Would that mean then I would get 16? So the goal is really up to you. So you have to really identify what motivates you. Get that motivation. Understand what pushes you. And it could be just money. It could just be currency. You might just want the nicest car. You might just want the nicest brand name clothes. If that's what motivates you, then be aware of it and let it motivate you. Not everyone has a family. Not everyone wants a house. You could probably be renting right now, but you really want that AMG. I can't knock you. Go and get it. Don't let nobody stop you. If anything, rise up to the occasion and make it work. But if you're like me, I went through different phases. When I started off, my whole goal was to get a new car, and I got that new car. And so I stepped up and got a new house, and I got that new house. And your goals just grow, because you're growing. But wherever you are and wherever this video finds you, if your whole goal is to get that new Gotti watch, then boo-boo, go get that new Gotti watch. No one can stop you, but start and figure out what you need, how many locks, how many fundings you need to go get that Gotti watch, or go get those rims, or go get that car. Whatever, ever motivates you, go get it. But here's the trick on how you go get it. So let's say that Gotti watch or that new set of rims that you needed was $10,000 a month, right? And you know that if you funded, I'll use easy numbers here. Let's say you fund 10 loans and you get $10,000, then your goal should be 10 loans, not the 8 loans. So how do you get 10 loans? Well, if I knew that I already get 10 locks, for every 10 locks I get 8 funded, then that means then I should have at least 15 locks to hit my 10, and that will give me my 10,000. That's how you reverse engineer it, right? So in order to get my 10,000, I need 10 loans. In order to get my 10 loans, I need 15 locks. In order to get 15 locks, I need X amount of applications. So every single day throughout that month, let's say for the 15 locks, you needed 100 applications. Then you divide that over 20 days. That's 20 work days. That's not even including weekends. And so that means about 5 applications per day. So if you knew that was your goal, then raise it above. Say instead of 5 applications, I'm gonna go 7. So if I get 7 applications, or if I get 7 lead conversations, right? Because not all of them are gonna fill out an application. So you just wanna go through and start and say, I need my 7. Start it off per day. Every single day, aim for that goal. Don't give yourself an excuse as why you can't hit that goal because, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you didn't score no locks. If anything, your goal should be the same every single day until you hit it. Once you hit it, then you know it can be done. Once you know it can be done, then you can duplicate it. And once you can duplicate it and really refine and master that process, then you now are able to determine your income. That is the gift of sales. That's the beauty in the art of closing, is that you technically have the ability to control your income. And so I'm sharing with you the techniques that help you do that. I got a question for you though. Which on here do you need help with? Let me know. Send me over an email, daniel@salesremastered, or leave your notes below, or send me over a DM if you find me on Instagram, if you find me on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn. Just send me over a quick direct message or send me over an email. Let me know what you want help on or what you're strongest in, and maybe I can bounce some ideas back and forth with you. But I do appreciate your time. If this is your first time coming to Sales Remastered, consider subscribing, and I'll see you on the next video.
Another Nick No Banger.